Well, I was trying to decide what I should tell you about in the July issue of The Mover this month, and to be quite honest, there's too much in it really to tell you the whole thing. It's one of the most packed issues that I think we've ever done, and I'm very pleased with it, and I hope you will be too. But there's lots of things in there that I think would be useful for you to read. For example, there's the front cover story is all about the Euromovers conference that was in Copenhagen, which was a grand affair. There's the Santa Fe annual survey is in there. There's a story all about key logging, which is about the way in which fraudsters can work out what you're typing on your computer. It's a very good story. You have a read of that one. There's one about staff motivation. There's a story about Fred Holt, who sadly died recently. Fred was a great guy, and I know that a lot of you will have known him. And sadly, I wasn't able to go to the funeral, but we've got a nice story in there about him, and I'm sure the people that remember Fred will want to read that. But I didn't really want to focus on any of those things because there's some others there's one other thing. We've got the report from the BAR conference that I went along to. It's the first time I've been to the BAR conference in a while, and some of you will know why, and those of you that don't, I'm not about to tell you right now, but there we are. It was lovely to get back to be with everybody. For me, it was just like going home, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've written a little story about it, which I'm sure you'd be interested in. In future issues, by the way, there will be some of the stories that are from the speakers that I'm going to put in there as well, but this was just an overview thing. But anyway, thanks BAR for inviting me back. It was great to be there. Thank you very much. There's a couple of stories that I particularly wanted to draw your attention to. Now, you're not going to like reading them, I know you won't. They're about disruptors in the industry, and I came across these, and the thing is that you will know, those of you that read the magazine regularly will know that we tend not to just accept things on face value. We like to go and find out what the real story is behind these things. And I heard a lot of rumours about a company called Cirello, which is actually a website that's owned by Tri Global, and many of you use Tri Global for lead generation. And people were very angry about this thing, and I'm not going to tell you right now why, because you need to read the story. It's a bit more than I can go into right now. But I sort of understand why they were angry. In fact, well, I definitely understand why they were angry. So I went over to the Netherlands to interview the people behind Cirello, and it was very interesting because when you hear the other side of the story, then at least you understand perhaps why this is being done. You might not necessarily agree with it, but the fact is that it is. And there's another story as well. There's a company called Shift. Now, again, this was one of these things where I got a press release from somebody saying that a guy in London had started a company that was going to disrupt the moving industry in the UK, and threatened to not give up until he was the market leader. And he'd already been given £2.5 million worth of venture capitalist funding. And I thought all of this was most improbable. So I went down to see him and did an interview there. And it is kind of interesting. Right now, I don't think it is particularly a big threat to the moving industry. But the important thing with that and with the Cirello story is not to look at the story as it is now, because we don't live in a static world. We live in a mobile world. It's a dynamic world. And the things that are going on now are going to be, or the world is not going to be the same tomorrow as it is today. And something that you may think of right now as not really affecting you and not likely to disrupt your business too much, before you know where you are, if you turn around 3 times, then you suddenly find that it has done. So I urge you to read those stories and read them with an open mind. Not so much about what is going on now, but what could potentially these things develop into. Disruptors in the marketplace always go for the least profitable, generally, side of the business. Do the kind of thing that you don't really want to do. and you're normally quite happy to let them carry on and do that. But then you realise that they've actually started encroaching in the stuff that you did want, and then things get a bit different. So look at it with those eyes. Read the stories. Please read the stories. And there's one final thing that I wanted to say as well in this issue, and that is many of you will be familiar with a quite a famous chap called Walt Pennock. Now, Walt is from Canada, and he has a habit of doing rather strange and some would say completely daft challenges for charity. As good guy Walt, and he has now started. Well, I don't really quite know what it is to call it, but he started what he calls the Pennock Challenge, and this is giving people like you and me and everybody else the opportunity to do something that is pushing themselves a little bit. It might be a physical thing, it might not be, it might be learning another language or learning how to boil an egg, I don't know, it could be all kinds of things. But he's calling it the Pennock Challenge, and he's challenging people to do things that test themselves a little bit and to do it for charity with his blessing. Have a read of that story, and why not get in touch with Walt and see if there's something that you might like to do that will prove to you that you're a bit stronger than you really think you are. Anyway, there we are. That's the magazine. I say there's more in it this month than I can even begin really to tell you about. So please read it, enjoy it, and if there's any stories in there that you feel strongly about, then please come back and give me your opinions. I always value them. Thank you.